Welcome to the Shadow Archives, a fan-led show dedicated to Sara Samuel's Blade of Shadows. Last episode, we learned about Marcellius's, Roman's, and even Olivia's connection to the Sioux tribe. And just as things were looking up and we were having a huge decadent fire ceremony, the darkness attacked the village and brought heart-aching death and destruction. In today's episode, we're picking up the pieces from that night as we reopen the vaults to discuss chapters 19 through 26 of Darkness of Time. And to do that, please allow me to introduce today's hosts from around the world who will be taking us through the roller coaster of emotions. Tam from Australia is with us in spirit. Dane Louise from Denmark. Dame Samantha from England. Sir Patrick from North Carolina, and Lady Lisa from Northern Virginia. And I'm Matt from Ohio, coming at you via South Carolina. And with that, the archives are officially reopened. Today, we are opening our story the morning after the darkness attacked the Sioux tribe at the ending of the fire ceremony. And essentially, these are my words. What happens in chapter 19 is that Olivia, Roman, Marcellious, and Emily take their leave from the tribe and ride horses to Emily's childhood home in South Carolina in the hopes of finding her father's journals and some type of clue to defeating Balthazar, the big bad that we haven't met yet. And I guess I could go into more details, such as how Olivia sadly said goodbye to Chief Greyfeather, and how Roman had to convince Marcellius to even come along, how Emily stole food from the Sioux tribe for the trip, or how Roman and Olivia had a nice, sexy, frolicking romp in the woods. But we're going to let Tam tell us those things in her own words, which she kindly sent me this morning whilst she is visiting her family in rural Australia for the next couple of weeks. So, we are once again going to have an episode of Millennial Boy Reads Gen Z Girls Bookish Notes.
Nice.
Liquid Courage. Olivia is low-key being a pick-me girl, sad in sorrow and blaming herself for Laughing Maid's death. I bring the promise of pain and death, Emily, is straight pick me. Oh, and Earthbear is low-key a stalker. Greyfeather is telling her to not be so pick me, and it ain't her fault. They are pretty much confirming that they're gonna find the journal, and Bro is talking in riddles. Quote, "You must tread carefully, little moon. Like, the path you walk is fraught with peril, but the answers you seek may be the key to defeating the darkness." Oh, and Wonkin Tonka, god of sorts to the tribe, question mark. Avengers team up style with Mark, Roman, Olivia, and Emily. And Emily is being a chud, sneaking food to low-key help them on their journey. Side note, I had to ask my brother-in-law what chud meant. Okay. Then they're getting ready to hop on horses, but Olivia would save a horse and ride a Roman.
Yeah. Yes, Will.
"We shall instruct these horses in the way of our people and teach them to be loyal and trustworthy riders." Bro, how the fuck you controlling horses, gang? Then we get Mark being nice to someone while not up Greyfeather's ass crack. It's wild. This is in reference to Marcellius crushing on Emily, by the way.
Yeah.
But then we get mukbang core in the forest with their berries and bison meat. I had to ask my brother-in-law what mukbang meant.
Don't ever ask what mukbang meant.
Mukbang is like ASMR videos, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. Then Tam pivots hard with zero transition, right? Nah, because they horny at the most wild moments. First, a fucking mold and death-filled cell, and now the middle of the forest? My God. I'm going to make you come so hard you'll forget your name. Bro, she already did forget her old name, Isabel. So what's another missing name? LMAO.
Yeah. Love it.
Nah, because why are they being loud while they should be being sneaky? My God. They horny, but just in Italian now. They just go to Emily's old home, which is actually quite sad. And when I hear the actually quite sad, I can't help but hear the Australian in my mind. I love it. It's so Tam. Anyways. Mark is such a misogynist. And the chapter ends with someone low-key stalking them, question mark. Hashtag Earthbear Core.
Nice, Tam. Good job, Tam. Good job, Matt reading Tam. Channeling Tam.
That was good.
I love Tam so much, and I miss her so much.
Yeah.
I took 2 questions from Tam's notes. First one. Compared to Timeborn, where do you think this steamy scene ranks?
Like better or?
Well, let's see here. In Timeborn, we've got Scotland, and we have the Hypogeum under the Colosseum, and now we have the Frolic in the Forest.
Okay, so to rank them that way. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Rank them. Where do they go? And if you think, like Tam obviously thought this was an ick scene. So if you think this is ick, I suppose we could throw in the Marcellius's finger in the mouth moment as well. If you want to do that.
Marcellius's finger in the mouth is number 0. Never.
Yes.
Ever.
I agree.
Forever. Never ever.
God.
So we're not going to go there with that. So definitely not that. But as far as that goes, as far as ranking the 3 that we currently have, because obviously there will be more as we go through the series, and the randomness stays true to form throughout. So I would probably say, as far as ranking them, as far as how steamy they are, is that what we're looking for? Is that what we're going to rank them by?
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Are we ranking oddity, steaminess, spiciness?
How much we liked it.
Yeah. Because I think
how good they are.
You have to remember, again, I was in the Marine Corps, and believe you me, the places that people would do things are somewhat questionable. I also work in healthcare, and it's still sometimes heart rhythms that show up on a monitor are falsely accurate because they're busy doing other things. So, as far as weirdness, I mean, I think they all rank up there pretty weird for sure. Steaminess.
I can think of one that's going to rank weirder, but that's
yes, we all can.
I don't know. I would put this one. I would put this one in the middle of the 2, and I'm not exactly sure why, but it's not quite the the prison one. That one's a little bit different. Scotland, I could see it. Okay, they're in a tent. I get it. Out in the woods, I get it. You know, the prison thing, I'm still kind of. I mean, that's worse than a hospital bed. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're thinking about it like, there's obviously different reasons as to why they're doing the deed. Like Scotland is more passion. The Hypogeum is more
desperation,
like wants, desperation, and
desperation.
This one is a bit more like
carnal,
like it's like a rekindling. Like the way that they're written. The one in Scotland was sort of just because they could, because they were there. Then obviously she feels like she's lost him in the Hypogeum, and like he nearly died and all that stuff. So it was like a want, a need to. This one I don't think is necessarily a need as much as I don't know the words.
Feral moment.
it's more, well, they're showing their ferality about, going with the motion and not really having anything to think about other than like, oh, here's a forest. Wow, I'm horny. Let's do it. Kind of.
What
But
else
that's
are
just
we?
me. I don't know if I didn't really think of. I don't think any of them are super spicy. Like, there's
Interesting.
obviously, I think there's a lot more further down the line that are a lot spicier. I think this is quite.
Yeah.
It sounds really
Question.
stupid.
What
It sounds
what do
quite
you mean by
mundane.
what do you mean by spicy?
Like, I think the ones that we've had read so far are quite normal in the sense of like not much is happening, but they're happening in places that you wouldn't necessarily think a couple would. Or, I mean,
Okay.
obviously you could do it wherever you wanted, but I think for the spice level, it's pretty much a girlfriend, boyfriend, just enjoying the company of each other.
That's interesting.
Quite mundane.
Spicy?
Let me ask you.
Like
Let me
really?
ask you this.
Okay.
Are you equating? Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds accusatory. That's horrible.
Carry on. I'm
In your
involved.
mind, is spice and level of graphicness linked?
I don't think you could say that two people just having sex is going to be spicy. Like, it is spicy, but it's not going to be, I think it would be like really vanilla compared to like, if you were going into more detail and more graphic and for want of a better term, harder, then I would say the spicy level goes up in my mind anyway. I think if you're reading about a guy and a girl just making love and not being like, because I don't think they're like they're obviously described really well, but I don't think they're like dirty enough to be classed as spicy.
I think that I agree with Sam. And I think that when something is like a 10 on the spice level or a 5, whatever they do, it's when it gets me hot and bothered. Like my heart starts palpitating and I start feeling warm.
Exactly.
You know,
like if I'm
like
reading about two people,
that's like a scene that's like, oh my goodness. And
like if I
those
read
didn't
about,
do that. They were
if I read
good.
about,
They
like,
were nice.
oh yeah, they're
But they
really
didn't
good.
do
But
that.
if I'm reading that, it's like walking in and watching like a sex scene on TV. It's not graphic. It's not it's not
That's
too much.
interesting.
Like I
I
don't
would.
it's not too much. I could read it and go, oh okay, they're loving each other. There's certain ones that I read and I'll be like, oh, I need to give myself a 5-minute break because I don't know what I'm doing right now. My brain can't comprehend what I've just read. Like, there is a couple further down the line that is a little bit more feral, like more than the forest one. But I think, for me personally, the spice level, and they say like spice. I think like book 3 is like a 2.5. Book 4 is like a 3.5, and or like a 3 or a 4. But the spice level in the whole series just shifts in higher and higher each time. But yeah, I don't think anything we've read so far is too spicy.
But
I
I
think
love
it's just
I'm-
about spice.
I love Scotland. Scotland was really good.
I'm in love with this conversation, and before I give my 2 cents, Lou, I know that you have been on record saying that spice is not your thing, but I would love to hear your thoughts here.
Well, the only reason it's not my thing is because I'm just tired of it after reading it too much. But I quite like the way Sara does it because she has this.
Wait, well, hold on. It's nobody's fault but yours that you've read Fourth Wing 1,800 times.
It's not spicy. That is not spicy. it's like level 1 out of 100.
Okay. Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, but I think that it's because Sarah is just juggling it perfectly with feelings and the sex scene. So she's doing it in a beautiful way. I know there are some scenes that are not beautiful, but she still has this thing where she tells us why is this happening. It's not happening just because people want to. Well, at least not these two.
Also, going back to the first ever episode we recorded, there was a conversation we had about spiciness and stuff like that. And it was like, I think it was Tam who said it, like, nobody's got time for that kind of bullshit of where it's like, oh, I've seen you in a grocery store, now I'm going to fuck you. Like, there's
That's a porno, that's like.
There's like time and place and the reason why it is happening at that time. It's not just a random, like, oh, I've picked some cereal off the shelf and now I'm going to go and shag you down the cereal aisle. Like, there's a...
Right.
Captain Crunch tapping me. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason behind why. It's not just a randomly placed spicy scene. It's there for a reason. And it's not to fill a hole in the story, because even if there was no spice in this book and it was just like, even if you had no sex scenes in the book and you could just read that, they went off to the bedroom together and then the story continued afterwards, like, it wouldn't make any difference to Sarah's writing, because the writing is so well done that
Exactly.
the story doesn't need it. It does make it a little bit better, but I don't think it doesn't need to be super spicy to really enjoy these books.
I agree with that, but I do appreciate it though. Like the
I do appreciate
Scotland.
Like, it is very well.
Was very, very nice.
I've read some books that are just that I would literally term as smut. It is, you pick up the book is almost a novella. It's only 180 pages long, and it is just essentially one chapter to introduce you to the characters and then 8 chapters of sex. I've read those books. I felt uncomfortable reading those books, but I've read them.
Yeah.
I've read other books, and I guess an example I could give you would be The Coven of Bones by Harper L. Woods, if anybody is familiar. And they are graphic. They are violent. They are just on the page, right? I don't like reading either of those. And they're spicy. I would give them lots of chili peppers, but for some reason, me personally, I feel as though Sarah Samuel's spice is spicier. And it's not because she's graphic, it's because she's emotional.
Yes.
She's emotional.
I know.
And she conveys it through the words so beautifully.
Yes. Okay. My wife doesn't want me saying any of this, but 2 done, in the middle of a third, I'm good to go with conveying this. Stimulating my nerve endings doesn't do anything for me. Sorry. The thing that does it for me is the emotional connection.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's the truth for most people, actually.
Yes, the soul connection.
Unless you're a sex addict. I mean, I think that's true.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. So when I think of the 3 sex scenes that we've had, I think of all of them as pretty spicy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that Sam, you remarked that, like, I will put words in your mouth for brevity, but kind of middle of the road.
I think, yeah. I just don't think, for me personally, like, it is spicy. There is spice to it, but I think it's very much, like you said, it's a more of an emotional connection. I don't know if my term of spice, like, personally, would be like if it's quite an emotional connection, I think it's quite like normal, or not normal, but do you know what I mean? Like it's not like some of the books you
Kinky or
read where
whatever.
the spice level is like a 5 and they're talking about SA and all of that sort of stuff, because there's no emotional connection. So it's putting up like a wall of like of the levels of spice in my mind. If you've got an emotional connection, then you're doing it for a purpose. You're doing it because you love that person. You're doing it because you have a connection to that person. Whereas I think the more the spice levels go up, the less there is a connection there. Or you're sort of slightly disconnected from the person that you're having the scenes with.
Yeah. I think I don't know if it was within this podcast or with just a conversation with Sara and a couple other readers before, but it was it's more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The way I would think about it. Like you said, there's more emotional connection. There's more it's something you can believe. It's like you can, as a guy, I can be like, yeah, I could see myself doing that. Yeah, for sure. some of these romance novels, you're just like, yeah, there's no way that's not real.
I know.
You know?
And then it's not
Oh.
gratifying.
Dude, there are times when I read some of the scenes where I want them to be like flipped around, where some of the things that Roman says, I imagine somebody saying to me, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
If somebody
really
looked me in the eyes and told me they wanted to make me come so hard I forgot my own name, I can't even imagine what that moment would be like.
I know. And that's what gets you like, ha.
This chapter kind of ends on a slight cliffhanger that I think is interesting, because we kind of get an answer to it, but we also don't get an answer to it, right? Olivia thinks she hears something like in the bushes or whatever. She even describes it as maybe it's like a whisper or whatever. And, you know, in a few chapters, you could say, oh, that was the darkness. But given that we know that darknesses can just appear out of nowhere, why would they be in the bushes making noises? So I want to ask, who made this noise? Who do we think is following them? What was the source of this noise and whisper? Does anybody have any ideas other than the darkness?
I still think it could be that weird presence that we've been talking about for a couple of books.
Which weird person?
The person we don't know. The presence that was in the Rise of the Shadow Lords. There was a presence that lifted when we were reading about Timeborn. There's a weird sort of, there's a mention of it later on about it was as if grief and rage lingered in the encampment that had been weighing us down. I think there's some weird random person that's just like what's the film? There's a film, and there's somebody who goes back in time and is in all of these moments, and then it all comes to a head at the end. But I don't know what. I can't remember what film it is.
And some of these unresolved things of when you didn't know who was there, whatever, gets resolved in the final book, by the way. Just anything that you didn't know or you wondered about, you'll never wonder again. So there's a method to her madness. My gosh. So I don't know who it is. But
okay, Lisa does not know who it is.
I mean, it could be, I think it would be a couple people. It could be Malik, could be Amir, which we haven't really met yet in this series up until this point. We have, but for the readers out there, Pasha Hassan, I guess you could say, is how you will be introduced to him. And could be Lazarus. I mean, it could be Zara. It could be any number of people that are watching, you know,
which
from
is
the outside.
Which is the beauty of it.
Ooh, Patrick, I like the fact that you said Zara. So I think the super obvious answer is that it is Balthazar or Dahlia or Roman's unnamed darkness. But I really like the headcanon that this is Sara. When you get Alina's perspective of when she came to this time, quotation marks, she was there like 28 years ago. But Sara was there and confronted her. And I really like the idea that Sara is keeping tabs on everything. And this is our one tiny clue that she's there.
It could also be Alina, because like you just said, that she was there.
But
Alina was gone.
She wasn't in there.
But wouldn't she be going after Olivia then?
No. I mean, we read Wicked Lovers, and Alina left literally days after Emily's birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll cover
in
that,
Wicked Lovers, we never get another mention of her coming back to this time.
Nope, she was off. She went and found John James, and she was up. Peace out.
Yeah.
Gone to find because I think that's when she jumped to Seattle or to Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one thing I want to ask you guys about in this chapter. So there's a whole mention of Greyfeather's face, and it says cast in a deep shadow that gave him a foreboding and almost otherworldly expression. Like, it's really interesting that he's been described as that, because he's obviously Moonley's a time. Well, I assume he's a time-born. But why would Sara describe him as otherworldly? Like, does he have a tie-in to Solaris? Does he have a tie-in to something that's not of his time? I just thought it was a really, really cool but kind of random expression that she'd used for it.
So, from what I gather, and I've spoken with Sara about this particular chapter, the Sioux tribe in specifically. There's a lot of and I hate to use the term, but there's a lot of non-player characters
NPCs.
In the Sioux tribe. Yeah, NPCs, because they're there to fool you. Because the guy because I asked her point blank about when they were eating at the dinner, there was an older gentleman, looked to be in his 40s, but he looked much older than time itself. And she went into the description of, he looked so much wiser. He looked all this, but there's just something about him. I was like, who is he? Is that Lazarus? Is it this? Is that? She was like, no, I put him in there to confuse you. I was like, yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. So yeah, from what I've gathered, the only person that really makes sense out of that entire Sioux tribe that plays a part throughout the entire series is Moonley.
So I think that Chief Greyfeather is doing two things. The first is that he is doing the Native American communing with the spirits thing, which I think we could all chalk up to marijuana or acid, something along those lines.
Peyote.
They did it in responsible amounts. And the other thing he's doing is acting, because Chief Greyfeather knows things because Moonlee told him things. Lazarus, Lazarus influenced events. But I do think that there is a little bit of Chief Greyfeather being high. And if you've ever been high, you go somewhere else. And I think if somebody doesn't know that you're high and they see you go somewhere else, it's a little timeless. It's a little otherworldly. It's a little extra. That's what I think. But you bring up a really good point, Sam, because specifically reading Rise of the Shadow Lords a second time, you can't help but be very cognizant of word choice from the author. And I'm starting to find that I don't know if that applies to the other books, to the Roman Olivia books quite as much. But I want it to, and I'm paying attention for it.
I mean, going from the first version of Darkness that I've read, versus this one. There's a lot of word changes, and some of them are a bit more prominent now, reading it the second time round. As in, like, the description's a bit more. So I don't know if it's just because she's obviously written Rise of the Shadow Lords that, you know, doesn't necessarily have a place to slot in. Like we've said before, that there's a couple of places it could slot in and still make sense, or, you know, you could read it first like we've done this time. Whether because she's written that last that some of the the descriptive bits have changed, but yeah, I don't know. It was something that was in my head, and I was like, why would you say foreboding? Like, why would you, unless you're talking about what's going to happen, like in the next couple of chapters. We never get Marcellius' Darkness's name. But, like, part of me was thinking that obviously he has a bit of a tie with Balthazar. Is Balthazar his darkness?
Marcellius's?
Yeah.
No, I think Marcellius killed his darkness after the darkness.
Yeah, I think we heard
Theodora.
Yeah, after he killed Theodora, after the darkness killed Theodora, he killed his
Oh,
darkness.
okay, that makes more sense.
I think whoever's darkness Balthazar is long gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
technically waiting in Solaris, I think. If it was a Solaris soul that was reincarnated into the real world and they die, they just go back to Solaris, so they're not actually dead. But, like, I think when Balthazar became bad, he took out his Timeborn, and we don't know who that is. I wonder, I'm looking at Lou and I'm looking at Lisa very intently. Do we learn any of that information in Lost Legacy? Lou says no. Okay.
I don't think it's that big a whoop.
I actually asked Sara this something very similar to this, because Balthazar's a darkness, Zara's a darkness, and we find out in Solaris, that there were different houses, and stuff like that, and they were all thrown into Earth from these different houses. So some of them were reincarnated, some of them died and were reincarnated, some of them were just thrown and scattered throughout different centuries and different locations and stuff like that. So they maintain their names. I thought something that was very interesting, because because it happens in my chapter specifically, that Balthazar can only father time bounds. Every one of his kids is a time bound. So I actually sent Sara a message like, is there a reason behind this? Is that something that only, Balthazar, is there something wrong? Is there something wrong with him that he can't, do something with the time born, or, or something like that? Why is he restricted to only having time bounds? I just thought it was an interesting concept when I figured out that all of his daughters were time bound. Emily's a time bound. Tristan's a time bound. So it doesn't even matter who he has a daughter with, because Zara's darkness, Elena's a time born, and Scarlet is human, but yet they're all time bound. So obviously it's tied to him.
Olivia and company have arrived at Weston Hills, and some people are going to go into Weston Hills and some people are going to stay outside of Weston Hills, and Patrick is going to tell us what happens next.
Correct. So they arrive at Weston Hills, and it says that Olivia mentions the fact that the house has been rained on several times, but she can still smell the char. It hung thick in the air. It's suffocating. But it's not completely burned to the ground. So they're going to go in and kind of check this out. So they go in, they see some of the plates that they dined on. And of course, Emily is being thrown back into her memories of when she had to leave. And Olivia is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, let's go find this thing. Let's go find your father's journal. Hopefully we can find it." So lo and behold, they actually find it. So they find a place to sit down because now they're getting to read it. So they look at each other, take a deep breath. Okay, let's go ahead and read it. So it starts off. December 12th, 1783. The war was coming to an end. And while sitting on the wagon, heading home from town, he comes across a woman, bruised and unconscious, but very much alive. She was slight enough that I could easily lift her onto the back of the wagon. So I took her home. Because that's what any good, man would do back in the 1800s or 1700s. Just, pick up a random woman that's been beaten to death and take her home.
Don't do that today. Don't do that today.
Yeah. So that's just it. So he decides to care for her and nurture her back to health. She's healing. She's growing strong. It's basically a look at his journal, literally. She is calling out for names. She's doing everything he can to support her. She needs to find John James. This John James is the one. He asked her about this. Who is this John James? And she gives the ultimate answer of like, oh, he's just a friend who knows things, which I'm sure answers all the questions and has no other worry about who this John James is. But Philip begins to become enamored with this person that he found and has now decided to take care of. She's beautiful, kind, and endlessly intelligent, sharp wit, and keen intellect. The stories that she tells him, she just woos him about the traveling that she's done. She's well traveled. He finds himself falling more helplessly in love with her. Yet I fear I may truly never know her. And is that not a more true statement than I could find in this entire chapter? So they take a break from this reading, like, oh, wow, this sounds like he's quite enamored with her. That's exactly what it says here in the book. And that's just like, well, let's just keep reading. Let's see what happens. So they continue on. So they start searching for this elusive John James. Who could it be? Because they don't know. She just says John James. I'm sure John James back in the day was a pretty common name. He could have been a sculptor, a banker, teacher, blacksmith. Who knows what he could be? So anyway, this woman that he's been taking care of finally tells her name, and it is Francesca. And if you believe that, keep going. I'm sure she's lying because even he didn't believe it. Because she saw that how her eyes shift, because the eyes can give you away with everything. But the journal goes on, and he becomes even more consumed by Francesca. And it says that, she just occupies everything in me, my thoughts, my dreams, my bed, everything. But yet I don't feel like I'm getting anything back from her. I don't feel like I'm actually, she's just always talking about this John James guy. Why didn't she talk about me? This is ridiculous. But then, oh, lo and behold, Francesca is pregnant. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you're sharing the bed, so why not, right? So later on, the next entry we get is the fact that Francesca has given birth to a baby girl and that they have decided, and I am the father, and he is so proud. So he says that we've decided to name her Emily. Yet something strange occurred and a necklace with a charm appeared around her neck. Can't explain it. Maybe a sign from God. I swear just simply applied from nowhere. Who knows? It's kind of weird. But then a jolt of electricity shows up because Emily's like, oh, I do remember this. I don't know where it came from. I thought it was just a necklace. Last night, then we go on with, oh, that's right. Olivia says, well, maybe just some kind of superpower. I got a dagger when I was born. So, I mean, hey, maybe it's a tiny power. Mine's big, yours is small. So who knows? So then we go back to the journal, and Francesca confesses that, she sees this dagger and she just knows there's something wrong. So she just kind of says, I have to go. I have to go. There's just something wrong. So she up and decides to leave, and she leaves Dear Philip a note. And in this note, she basically says, I'm so sorry for leaving. The truth is, I'm not who you say, I'm not who you thought I was. I am a time traveler. My life is in grave danger because of this man named Balthazar has been chasing me. I've done him wrong. I can't stay here. Her life would be in danger. So would yours. He will stop at nothing. Blah, 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 blah. Now I must continue to search for the John James alone. Please do not try to find me. I'm done with you. Take care of the kid. I'm out. Oh, by the way, my name is Alina.
Typical.
Alina.
Yeah.
So there it is. There's proof. I have a sister. Emily is so excited she has a sister again. She now has another sister. And then Olivia's like, that's right. Alina's my mom. Oh, wow. This is crazy. So then it goes on. We start reading. So, well, what happened? So then Everly's just devastated. Philip's upset because she's gone. How can I ever move on? And then there's some weeping going on. Oh, poor Papa, you're by yourself again, raising me by yourself. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, so Phil decides to take up the charge of actually trying to find this John James. He goes to wherever it is this last person may have said that he might have been. He actually takes Emily with him, who is basically fussy during the ride. Maybe she has colic. I don't know. He tries several times to tend to her. They go and they find this John James residence, and the family for John James is like, I don't know, he's a kook. I don't know what you're looking for him for because he ain't nothing. He's crazy. He's up there in the woods somewhere. I don't know. If you want to go talk to him, by all means, you go right on, go in and talk to him. But you ain't going to get nothing from him. So he's like, okay, well then I guess I'll head home. Because obviously if he's crazy, I'm not going to get anything. My heart is heavy. And he's going to have to close the chapter with Alina. Alina is now dead to him. But she's a good time traveler, so who knows? Maybe that explains why she disappeared the way she used to disappear. So then obviously Emily and Olivia are now saddened because of poor Philip and how he was treated. And it was just something that she just couldn't, they just were just kind of enamored over. Then all of a sudden they hear Olivia coming from outside. And they're like, what? What's going on? So they rush out and they find Roman and Marcellious on the ground. And they're in pain. And Olivia runs to Roman and she lifts up his deerskin that she so famously loves him in. And sees a gap in his stomach. And she goes, oh my goodness, what happened? Emily, go take care of Marcellious. Marcellious is like, oh, it's okay. Whatever. He's like delirious in himself. Who did this to you? That guy over there. And Olivia looks up and was like, oh my goodness, it's that guy again. I'm looking at the guy that killed my mom. And that's how the chapter ends.
Very good summary.
So that being said, I'm going to pull out the book that we're going to be reading in a few months, Wicked Lovers of Time. And this is actually covered in chapters 21 and 23 of this particular book.
Cross-referencing. I love it.
Cross-referencing. And again, Sara does a fabulous job in making sure the timelines match up, the storylines match up. A couple of things that I noted. Number one, the name Emily, Alina could care less what Philip called her. She's whatever. You name her. I don't care. But yet Philip was like, oh, I'm the father. I'm going to make sure we're going to call her Emily. And we have named her this. Alina could care less. Number two, Philip, if this was Maury, I'm going to try to say this in my best Maury voice. Philip, you are not the father. Because Alina knew as soon as she got there that there was something wrong, because they said that she was with child. In Wicked Lovers, the doctor's like, I don't know, I'm not very good with the time, but you're, she's like, I know who I'm with. It's Balthazar's. He asked for a baby. Apparently I'm going to give him one, but he's not going to have it. So, because I'm not going to go find him because of what I did to him. I poisoned him. I'm running from him. I'm finding these blades myself. But that's just it. But she had to figure out, well, what is she going to do? Because Sara shows up and says, you're not going to do nothing to that baby. You're going to make sure that baby stays alive. You're going to make sure it does well. So now she's stuck. So like, crap, now I'm going to have this baby. So now what am I going to do with this big swelling belly? What am I going to do? You know what? I'm just going to join Philip in his bed. We're going to have sex. And then, guess what? You're the dad. So obviously he's enamored by Francesca. So he's like, yes, of course. Yes, this is my baby. This is my daughter. This is who I'm going to take care of. I don't know where this necklace came from, but that's just it. So the whole thing, the cross-referencing between, chapters 21 and 23 and Wicked Lovers and 20 here, it's very good. It fills in some of the blanks of Philip's journal to where it actually makes more sense, because obviously Philip was only getting his simple side of it. And you could definitely see the manipulation that Alina is 100% a master at. To say, well, this is what we're going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And then this is it. But we also get to see in Wicked Lovers is why she had to be so manipulative of Philip, because Sara was watching her. She was like, I'm going to make sure that you take care of this baby and you do nothing to her. So, and that's basically how it comes to the end. We come to the end and old Balthazar shows up and says, hey, what's up?
I went one step further, and I also read Time Bound when they read the journal, Alina's doctored
I didn't go that far. Yeah,
journal, and there's only 3 entries into the journal, and I'll summarize these really quickly. December 1783. Alina's journal claims that a group of marauders tried to beat and rape her right after she arrived in the Americas, leaving her for dead. And she eventually woke up and began walking until a man with a wagon found her and took pity on her. And then there's immediately the missing page, right?
Right.
June 1784. So if you do that math, it's roughly 7 months later. Alina has grown affectionate with Philip and has been sharing his bed for a minute. And then March 1785, which is almost a year later, 10 months, whatever, Alina has met John James. So Alina's journal, at least as Olivia reads it and tells us about it, sheds zero light on this particular section of the book.
That was the rewrite that she had to rewrite, that she had to put in. But yeah, it is interesting that this is obviously, now I'm a huge journaler, and there are periods of my journaling that are completely missing as well. And those are probably the parts of my life I really don't care to remember.
Mm.
So obviously it was not anything that she was any part that she was forced to write down when she rewrote it. So yeah, that's the way I kind of hope, put into that. So
you got to wonder what her original journal said. And is there a reason why she left most of this out of the doctored one?
Right, because the original one was thrown into the fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? It would be interesting to know what scheming and manipulation she actually wrote down.
She was the worst.
Philip wrote, she looked at me blankly as if I'd gone mad and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you were talking to me," because she didn't recognize the name Francesca.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm curious, you guys think she actually didn't recognize the name Francesca? Or do you think she was acting?
I think she was just being an asshole.
I think she was so lost in her own thoughts because, she's like, what am I going to do with this baby? I got Balthazar, breathing down my neck. I've got, with the knowledge that we have of Wicked Lovers, I've got Sara out here who knows spying on me. I've got all this stuff going on. Hey, Francesca, I don't know what's going on. Francesca, what? Who is Francesca? Oh, hold on a second. That's me.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
I really think she just had so much going on that it just slipped her mind that that's the name that she used. It's not anywhere close to Alina.
She lies so much she can't even keep track of all her lies.
And he's probably not important enough for her to pay attention to him all the time.
Yeah.
So he's just zoning out. He's just an annoying boss.
She Wicked Lover, she straight up says he is getting annoying. It is taking every effort I have to continue to be nice to this guy. God, would he shut up? Leave me alone.
I think it's just her persona. She's just a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Just a dick. Yeah. Every time you read something about it, you're like, oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Nothing she does surprises me.
As Patrick said, Olivia and Emily exit the house to some not good stuff. And Emily goes, oh shit, that's the dude that killed my mom. And then shenanigans happen. And Lou is going to tell us about those shenanigans.
Yeah. So, like we just heard, basically, good old Balthazar is back. And he's like, hello, I come bearing gifts. It's just not the kind of gift anybody wants. So, and he's like, yeah, my gift to you is I'm just using my power, little Olivia. I'm going to paralyze you. And then I'm like, oh, when I want something, I'm going to make it happen. And it's very important for him to tell her a lot of stuff in this chapter. So it's like he's just having a little monologue all the way through. Because every time Olivia says something, he's like, I'm going to prove you wrong, or some sort of thing like that. Yeah. So he tells her, well, it was so sweet when I killed your mother. It was just sweet justice. And oh, by the way, I could have easily killed you as well. And yeah, fun stuff. Not.
Father of the year.
Yeah. And then he burns Olivia, I think it was with his touch. So that's, of course, not very funny. And then he's healing her, and it hurts. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm healing you, of course. And she's like, but why, dude? And then he's thinking, but I'm not done with you yet. And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm Balthazar. And she's like, oh, so you're that guy. And he has this big speech. I was your mother's lover, and you were supposed to be my daughter. And you know, why do you love your mother so much? She didn't want you. She tried to kill you. And of course, Olivia is like, I'm not believing you. But, well, who wanted to believe that guy at this point?
Or he's telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, so they kind of argue a bit about this Alina thing. And he's like, you don't want to make me angry because, well, he wants to have the upper hand. But, well, he paralyzed Olivia, so what's she gonna do? Yeah, and he's like, it's so easy for me to hurt you. So, of course, he has to just take his hand around Emily's neck because no one's going free from his. Very nice behavior. Yeah, and he's like, Roman and Marcellious, of course, they try to help Emily, and he's like, go away. So there's just this big blast of black energy, and this wall they can't go through. And Olivia can't go through it either. I'm assuming at some point she can move again. And then we have some very charming figures arriving. Yay! We have Dahlia, she's back. And she brought a friend, Roman's Darkness, that we don't know the name of. And then Roman is like, I think it's Roman who's like, oh, we're going to take out our daggers and we're going to point to the sun and we're going to start chanting. So, of course, they all do this. And then Roman actually succeeds in killing his darkness. And then Dahlia is like, oh my God, I'm going to flee. But she just vanishes. So then Balthazar's force field, it's whoosh, it's gone. I don't know why actually, but yeah. And then everything kind of goes black for Olivia. And she wakes up and she's like, Roman, are you here? And, yeah, I'm right next to you. And they realize, oh, they're hanging in their arms in chains and it's all dark. And Balthazar is like, yeah, this is only the beginning, and then fade to black. Next game. So actually, I was wondering, I don't know if you guys remembered it, but when you read it the first time and he said it's only the beginning, what did you think was going to happen?
I 1000% remember my introduction to Balthazar. One of my negative comments about this book was that I thought that Balthazar was a little bit of a mustache twirling villain. I thought he was a little extra. And when I read it this time, I was smacked in the face with how awesomely cool this guy is.
I know, right?
He's so badass. And I hate the fact that I ever thought he was mustache twirling and stupid and extra.
I think like not a single fuck is given. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So to answer your question, Lou, when he said this is just the beginning, I thought it was just like stupid mustache twirling, dramatic villain speech, and I didn't think it meant anything the first time I read this.
It meant everything.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure when I first read it, I was like, I started giggling like a little schoolgirl. I was like, oh, what's happening next? Tell me, tell me.
You know, I thought he was going to go back for Marcellious and Emily and get them through. I don't know why he wouldn't just do it the first time, but I thought he was like, okay, you two can just stay here, and you'd be like, Emily, Marcellious, are you guys here? Okay, they're probably safe, and then you'd be like, now they're here.
Yeah, he likes to mind fuck people.
But I don't think,
among other things.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I don't
Maggot.
think at the moment in the story, Marcellius and Emily hold that much value to him.
No, I just
I don't
thought he
think-
would do it to piss Olivia off, actually. You know, just
But
as an extra.
I don't think he's worked out that they have value to them, as in to Roman and Olivia. Like obviously, Roman's just found out that he's his brother, and Olivia's just found out that Emily's her sister. But I don't think he knows that. Well, he knows obviously that Roman and Marcellius are related, but I don't think he knows how much value that those two hold to the others.
Not
that
yet.
he could use them. That he could use them in the way he could.
I think Sara markets this book as having like unhinged villains. I think that's one of the blurbs she puts on a lot of her socials. And I think this is only the beginning. What it means is I'm going to take you and I'm going to torture you forever. And obviously Olivia escapes and then Roman escapes, but that's not his mindset. His mindset is I'm going to torture you forever. As long as I exist as a darkness, you will hurt. And I
he's
think that
playing the
line
long game.
is an example of his unhingedness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on a second read through, I absolutely love it. On a first read through, I was like, meh, that's a little extra, bro. But on a second read through, when you kind of understand who Balthazar is, oof, it kind of hits in the gut a little bit more.
Also, I think when you read like the later on books and you work out how much he's actually been through, I kind of felt a little bit sorry for him because he's obviously still trying to sort his shit out, but his shit can't be sorted out because he's a nutcase. But do you know what I mean? Like, he's been through all of the story and everything else. Then you kind of do have a bit of a soft spot for him. Like the first couple of times I read these books, I was like, oh my god, he's horrible. And like he's still horrible, but there is a lot of backstory that you understand. And I can understand why Patrick finds him an interesting little bean.
Definitely.
Yeah, agreed. Before we move on to the next set of chapters, there's one Easter eggy thing that I would love to point out and get your reaction on. In chapter 21, there's Balthazar is talking, and it says, "You're fun, Olivia," he said with a wicked grin. "I've missed so much enjoyment by not tracking you down sooner." And when I read the phrase wicked grin, all I could think of was wicked lovers.
Yeah.
And I just love that symmetry and that continuity. And I thought that was such a great word choice.
Definitely.
I also forgot to mention we heard about the maggots.
I was going to say that
Yes.
I had highlighted that there's a weirdness between him showing the mother and the daughter his maggots.
Yeah.
And I think we even get a touch of Olivia, because it's from Olivia's perspective, and she says something along the lines of Balthazar's facade changed to be something like Dahlia, but instead of char and ash, there were maggots. And that because when we get Dahlia's first personification, I was like, is that just what she looks like, or is that her like zombie appearance? And that's her zombie appearance. That's her version of Balthazar's maggots. And I just like how they're all different. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, everything goes black, and then Olivia and Roman are separated from Marcellious and Emily, and Sam is here to tell us what's gonna happen next.
So, I have a couple of chapters. I'm going to try and condense it down as much as I can. So, firstly, so Olivia and Roman are being held captive by Balthazar in what can only be described as the worst accommodation ever. Completed with creepy dolls, giant cockroaches, and plenty of nightmares. Balthazar then uses Olivia's mother's dagger and shows that he's got a vial of her blood to reveal the disturbing memories of her past by putting the blood on the dagger. This leaves Olivia questioning everything that she's known ever about her mother, where he shows her images of many, many occasions where she has found many a menfolk to fornicate with. I mean, that's just imagery in itself. Who'd want to see their mum? Anyway. So then things get slightly worse by Balthazar revealing a shocking secret about Roman's father and brother. Yeah, sorry. Balthazar releases her hands and gives her a knife and encourages her to go on a bit of a stabby rampage by sort of guiding her towards killing Roman, or at least like traumatizing him a little bit. And then Roman's constantly trying to like wake her up from this almost like sleep paralysis where he's guiding her to do bad things. And he keeps saying, you know, he's manipulating you. He's not telling you the truth. Like it's all a lie. She suddenly comes to the realization that actually she doesn't think it's a lie. She thinks it's the truth because there's something in her that's saying, you know, my mum has done this. There was also imagery of her using the stone to beat her stomach when she was pregnant with Olivia. And that was all, it was all sort of covered over by what her dad was saying about how she was just born in the caves in Peru, and actually, you know, no, he's true in saying that she was beaten on her stomach trying to kill her before she was born. And then we go into the next sort of chapter where Olivia finally breaks free from Balthazar's control just in time to realize that she's been attacking the love of her life. After a bit of an emotional reunion, she turns to Balthazar, but he's sort of disappeared, and then unleashes like thousands of tiny little cockroaches, or not so tiny as she describes them, saying that they were just the babies, but they were huge. This is like my worst nightmare. I was reading it and I was itchy. And then, because they were exhausted and injured, Roman and Olivia are left very vulnerable when Balthazar returns with another cruel demand. Olivia must now find Alina's journal, and when she refuses, he then threatens Roman's life, leaving Olivia with an impossible decision because he slices Roman's stomach. And then Olivia is forced to make the terrible decision with Balthazar when he threatens to kill Roman unless she finds the mysterious journal. After watching Roman bleed and realize just how far Balthazar is actually willing to go, Olivia agrees to search for it. Before sending her on her way, Balthazar uses his own dagger to mark her with. Uses her own dagger to mark her with the blood, which then allows him to track her wherever she goes, so she can find her way back to him, and he can find his way to her and see what she's doing. And then Olivia promises to find his weakness and destroy him, but Balthazar gets the last word and sends her hurtling through the darkness and drops beside Emily. Beside Emily's burnt out home. And then it's because apparently being tortured by a demon wasn't enough. Now Olivia has some homework to do.
Yep. And the whole blood thing is kind of like a share my location, but like really morbid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I never thought of it like that. That's 100% accurate. That's awesome.
What's that? Was it Family 360? 365? Like the one where you share your location with your family and friends?
Yeah, they have all different kinds of ways you can share your location, but that was a new one for me.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit weird.
Good summary.
So I had one point that was a bit weird, was the dolls, the mention of the dolls, and I don't know if anybody else had a bit of the weird tingles, but there was a flashback, if I'm not mistaken, where Olivia was saying about how the dolls reminded her of her mum in the shop with the weird lady that bought the weird creepy dolls, and I thought we were never going to get a mention of them again. But it's just a little one. Yeah, I thought it was quite clever how that was thrown back in.
Can we remember how old was Olivia when that occurred? When that woman with the doll and her mom are murdered?
Wasn't it just before Alina died? So she was
10, and then it was like 14 years later, or 15 years later.
Yeah, I definitely also made mention of that, and I took a note when we mentioned the first doll, and I was like, "Oh shit, is that the same doll?" And then, like a paragraph later, she's like, "There's like hundreds of dolls staring at me." I'm like, "Oh, never mind."
I felt this.
But that begs the question: why in the F does Balthazar have a shit ton of dolls?
Well, my thinking of this is, and I don't know if anybody else has had the thought, but she doesn't know where she is, neither does Roman. So my thought process is, are they at Balthazar's home that got burnt down and the dolls are his daughters?
Whoa.
Oh,
Whoa.
nice.
I like that.
Because they have no idea where
Boy, Sam! Wow!
Hey,
Mind blown.
I don't know. That was my thinking. I was like, why would you have that many dolls there? Unless you had 5 daughters who all had dolls. And then the only place that you're going to go where they're going to have no idea that they're at is going to be his home from when he had the kids. You know, and also the terminology she said, you could have taken me to France for all I know. Well, no, not France, but there's nothing saying that he hasn't taken them to the house.
Yeah, that's what I think now too. Totally. You convinced me.
Sam,
I'm
I'm going to go ahead and pat
Sam
myself
shit,
on the
man.
back a little bit. I think of myself as a very detailed and astute reader. And you just schooled the shit out of me.
Well, Sam
That is the headcanon of all headcanons.
What
Wow.
the only
We've
reason,
reached the
like,
high watermark of this podcast. We can't go any higher.
Yeah.
why would you have
Holy
so many
crap, girl.
dolls? Like, that was my only thinking. Like, she doesn't know where she is, and she gets pushed back through the shadows and shot back out to Emily's house. Like, and if you can use the shadows, like we've said before, if you're using the shadows as a darkness, you can literally pull them into the shadows and transport somewhere else. So why wouldn't you transport to that house? There's no mention of like an actual building. It feels like they're in a sort of dungeon or like a basement.
Yeah.
Why would you have that many dolls there? You don't have
That's-
young children. You have
my
you have
God.
a son and you don't know you have Emily. So why would you have that many dolls there? It's got to be the house that they had when the kids were there. Like, I haven't messaged Sara about it, and I'd be very interested to find out if the house that, or the building thing that they're in is his house from before. But like, why would you have that many dolls unless you had that many
You
daughters?
should message her and then tell us what she says. 'cause
Yeah.
I wonder.
But not even the dolls, because he like waves his hand and the wall disappears and all the daggers are there.
Mhm.
And if you go into Time Bound, his study in his Italian house in the 1500s or whatever has all of his daggers on the wall.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And that's where Malik goes to steal Alina's dagger, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and because of Wicked Lovers of Time, we know that Balthazar and Alina are in said house in the 1500s in Italy, and they just go into like the basement to the dungeons, and that's where they torture Malik and Layla.
I was going to say that's where they have Malik. So, and then also there's a mention of him being put into a cell whilst waiting for Olivia to come back. So my whole brain was like, well, it's got to be his house.
Accurate. But maybe, okay, we're going into magic metaphysics, right? I cannot imagine a darkness having the power to go to a wall and 300 years later appears. I can imagine a darkness going to the wall and upstairs appearing.
Right.
Which makes me think that when at the end of chapter 20, I think that was what Lou had, 20, when it all goes black, Balthazar is transporting them back to the 1500s, to his house before it burned down.
Yeah, because it doesn't say when they were transported to, they just say where. And for Olivia to say, you've taken us to France, or you might have taken us to France, it's got to have been a decent chunk of time.
Yeah.
For them to get somewhere. Not like being on a ship or something, but, I don't think you're going to be able to do that in a quick.
No, this has to be the 1500s, because Marcellious stole Alina's dagger in the 1500s. Right? When we're reading Time Bound, they're in Italy in the 1500s, and that's when Marcellious goes and steals Alina's dagger. So if Balthazar has Alina's dagger in his trophy collection, it has to be the time in history of his house between when Alina left and Malik stole the dagger.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to ask was, well, there's two things. Balthazar keeps telling Olivia that she's becoming so much like her mum. And I'm trying to work out. Well, I'm trying to work out because she obviously, I think it might be the next chapter after, but she starts pointing out there's some similarities between, or she feels that there's some similarities between her mum and her. But like, I'm trying to work out whether he's trying to weaken Olivia and make her weak, or trying to strengthen her and make her a bit of an ally.
Neither.
Do you think it's just
I think Balthazar is trying to get off on nostalgia.
It's like when he's describing saying you smell like her and I wonder what you're going to taste like.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think he's creepy, and the fact that he has an erection like this entire time is just he's just getting off on nostalgia. I think that's part of the thing that adds to his unhingedness.
Yeah,
Definitely.
the only other thing I was thinking about, and it's only came across when Patrick was saying about it, is so obviously you were saying about Balthazar can only have time bounds, not time borns. So my question is, in time born, no, in Darkness of Time, obviously there's imagery of Alina beating her stomach with a rock because of Olivia being like coming in the cave. Do you think the reason she's doing this is because Olivia's going to be a time born? Because she would have been safer being a time bound, because then she wouldn't have been such a big deal.
I actually always thought she just didn't want kids because, they were going to take the attention off of her. And she doesn't want to share.
Totally.
She wants her. It's like me.
But it doesn't make
'cause
sense to why she let Emily live.
Because Zara basically told her that Emily was going to live. In Wicked Lovers, Sara shows up and goes, I'm going to make sure you don't harm this baby.
That's right. So she
I'll
just
be
says,
watching you.
here, you have her.
And
She
that's why she
abandoned
was like, I got to go. Peace out.
But Emily's the first one of her kids, right? And then Olivia's meant to be the second one, and then we find out that there's a third one later on in the thing.
Yeah.
And I know she doesn't really give a shit about the kid.
Yeah, because I think it's Emily and then Angelo.
Yep.
And then Olivia.
Yeah.
Are the three kids. And
because Emily gets kept safe, Angelo gets used, and then she tries to kill Olivia. So I was just wondering whether the reason why she was trying to kill Olivia was because she was time born, not time bound. Ask Matt. Yes?
We go back to Solaris. We have Alina, the evil queen that is out to destroy Solaris. And we have Isabel, Alina's daughter, who is a good egg, right? Now we fast forward to where we are. Alina doesn't have those memories. She doesn't know. My headcanon is that there is some type of latent memory. There's some type of latent feeling.
Yep.
Where, because
she's threatened by her.
Lazarus has done the reincarnation spell on Alina so that Isabel can be reincarnated. And Alina latently she latently subconsciously knows that this is going to be Isabel. and she doesn't want the past to repeat itself, and she's trying to remove that possibility. That's my headcanon. That's my weird thought.
She may not know it's going to be per se Isabel, but she knows that whoever she is, this child is my demise. This child is threatening to me. I've got to get rid of her like that. Yeah, Matt, that's good.
But Emily didn't have that in Alina's past life, and Angelo wasn't that in Alina's past life. It's only Isabel that was that in her past life, and I think it's some type of latent memory coming up.
But then it begs the question, like, obviously, why spend so much time with Olivia then and be a mum? I know obviously she's not there all the time, but she's still a mum to her. She still shows her some form of affection because Olivia has this facade of her mum being really nice and kind and caring and never done anything wrong to her. And then it all gets completely blown out of the water by this whole situation with
I'm sorry, Sam. Did you just say situation?
Yes, I did.
I love you so much.
But wasn't she stayed? I thought she stuck around with Jack because she still needed the other dagger. She only found one of them. So she was still looking to use Jack to find, was it the moon dagger or is it the sun dagger? Which one did she, I can't remember which one she found.
Shoot, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It was, but she only had one. That's where she found, that's where she had Olivia, because she found it, because she told Moon Lee, hey, I've got the one dagger. And then Moon Lee was like, hey, you need to go to this other place to find the second one. So I think she was still sticking around with because of that.
Yeah. I just think it's very funny. She's gone from being like a shit mum to being like, oh, well, I'll kind of make a situation work and I'll kind of use it and to my advantage. But she's still given a relationship to her daughter.
Sun dagger. Alina found the sun dagger. Yeah.
But if she needs,
Olivia was easy to love. I think she, didn't mind Olivia. Like, she was nice to her because Olivia was a good kid, but I don't think she loved her. I think she was still threatened by her and the attention she got. What were you going to say, Lou?
I just wanted to say if she needed Jack to help her, then she had to be nice to their kids. If she would be bad to Olivia, why would she ever help?
Right.
And this might be a Solaris Legacy of Time thing. I'm not sure or not, so this may have to come out. But I think there were points where until Alina got consumed by power, she was a good mom. But until once she become consumed by power, that's when she turned completely dark and evil. So there's parts of that with her not having her memory, or parts of her memory. I think I remember throughout the book, her need for power, her need for control, her need for all of that growing throughout the series. So I think there were glimpses of good things, but
did it come to her head before she died, or was it then afterwards? Because I'm confused.
Here's the $1 million question. When did Alina become consumed by power? My contention is that it's frickin' from chapter 1 when she cries rape with the staple.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think she's been that way. So being a good mom, I think it was just part of the whole package to get what she needed.
Was she a good mom, or did Olivia see what Olivia wanted to see?
Yeah, she did. She did. I mean, she kind of treated Olivia like a little adult. And Olivia knew better. She knew no better because that's the only mother she ever had. So to her, she was a good mother. I mean,
Olivia remembers her childhood as very positive. I know her parents weren't divorced, but I think when we get the perspective of like wicked lovers and the journal entries and stuff and blah blah blah, there was not a good marriage.
Yeah, and my parents were actually divorced when I was pretty young. I was in first grade, I think. So that would have been 6 or 7. When I got older, my mom remarried. I remember more of the rough times me and my stepdad had, only because I was older. I had more memories, this and that.
Do you think it's through rose tinted glasses then that she's looking?
Yeah, I think so, because when I think of my dad, me and my dad, we had a falling out after he left, and I didn't speak to him for probably close to 20 years. And I lost a lot. Now, obviously I regret that part of that decision, but looking back at it, looking and talking with him and stuff like that, they shielded a lot from me, a lot of their problems from me. So I never saw a lot of it, of the unhappy times. All I saw were them together, them happy, them treating me and Robert, my brother, they were all good times. But then again, was it manipulation from their end because they wanted me and my brother to have a good life, good time growing up? Probably. That's what I would have done with my kids. Unfortunately, me and my, ex-wife could not shield my kids from that. Unfortunately, because they were older. So I do believe that there were some rose-colored glasses from Olivia's. I could definitely see that being it, because if I look back at my time with my mom and my dad, I can't think of anything that would have been upsetting. It's all good memories.
Thank you so much for those memories. That's very personal. Thank you for entrusting us with those thoughts.
You're my friends. It's all good. Thank you. Love you guys.
Love you too.
At the end of said torture, Olivia is set free in order to find Alina's journal. But she's delirious and weak and full of despair. She's barely able to ride a freaking horse. And Marcellious and Emily take care of her as, they embark on the long journey back to the Sioux tribe. And eventually they find the village where the Sioux tribe was, but it's deserted and the tribe has moved on. And Olivia is on the brink of death. But meanwhile, Roman is still being held captive by Balthazar, and it's no bueno. And Lisa is going to tell us what happens next.
I sure am. Okay. Roman suddenly wakes up screaming hoarsely. Hoarsely means that this has been happening in a, quote, windowless, lightless prison, unquote, with a fever that makes him believe that cockroaches are crawling on his face and biting him. He gains some clarity and realizes what's real and where he is. He's in darkness and has no idea of the passage of time, day or night. He also can't grasp reality versus nightmares. He feels like he's in hell, worse than his times in the bowels of the Colosseum. He crawls on his hands and knees when scraps of food are thrown in periodically. The rats appear each time, of course, sometimes getting the food first. His ankle ached, as did his entire body, as he continuously drifted in and out of consciousness. He thought, this can't be the end. Water dripped from the ceiling, tasting rusty and moldy. The stench of the cell was unbearable, and he had to use the corner to relieve himself. He thought that Olivia would never find him. Had it been weeks? He was so broken, tormented, and hopeless. He welcomed death. He suddenly heard footsteps, and when the door opened, black boots came toward him, and a commanding voice said, quote, "Get up, you filthy pig," unquote. It was Balthazar. Roman couldn't speak or move, so Balthazar stomped on his hurt ankle and his abdomen. Roman asked, and of course he had been stabbed in his abdomen. Roman asked why he didn't just kill him, and Balthazar let him know that he was using him as bait for Olivia. He showed him Olivia in the dagger's blade, and Roman saw Olivia worried and unkempt, with Marcellious and Emily by her side. Balthazar turned the conversation to Roman's childhood, with a single mother and a father who abandoned them. He knew his father was a Turk, and Roman wondered how he knew so much. Balthazar reminded Roman of the time in London when he was just a boy searching for his father in a saloon, but he wasn't granted entry. Roman had heard that a Turkish prince was there. Balthazar told him that he had almost caught him, but that his father had left through the back door. Roman asked him how he knew his father, and Balthazar revealed that they were old friends and that his father was a darkness like him, and that they were partners. Roman said that his mother would never have been with someone like that, but Balthazar reminded him that darknesses could be very seductive and manipulative. He told Roman, quote, "Your mother fell prey to Amir's charms," unquote. He also told him that he and Amir had been best friends, but Amir betrayed him, and that if he ever saw him again, he would kill him. He told Roman that usually darknesses fuck women and consume their souls for power, but Amir told Balthazar he'd kill for him. Amir told Balthazar that he would kill for him if he left Elizabeth alone, so he did. So that's how Elizabeth was left to have Roman and be like at peace. Because Amir, even though Balthazar said Amir was just a darkness who wanted to fuck her and whatever, Amir had cared for her. And he made a bargain with Balthazar that basically he would kill for Balthazar as long as Balthazar left Emily alone. So he did. Then Balthazar continued to torment Roman, but this time with Marcellius, telling him that his twin was stronger than Roman and loved to kill because of his darkness. He also told Roman that Olivia would grow tired of him and start to love the darkness in someone else, which Roman didn't have the darkness, so he was mind-fucking Roman. He was completely mind-fucking Roman, and his weakest moment. Roman was so upset he threatened Balthazar and said that he would destroy him with the weapons they'd find. Balthazar asked him, "What weapons?" Roman realized his mistake too late. He said nothing else. Balthazar then put his palm on Roman's torso and began to burn him. Roman screamed for him to stop, and when he finally did, he said, "That's just a taste of what I can do to you gladiator scum." Roman writhed, his skin burnt with an acrid smell. Balthazar told Roman that he'd destroy him. He lied to Olivia, and no one knew where Roman was, and no one would find him. He told Roman that in the meantime, he'd have a little fun with him. Then he left the cell. Roman was devastated, but then he noticed that Balthazar had left the dagger behind. Roman looked at the blade and saw Olivia reflected back, on horseback, leaning against Marcellius. Roman felt no jealousy. Instead, he felt gratitude towards his brother for keeping her safe when Roman could not. He was physically wrecked and knew he would eventually die at the hands of Balthazar. He held Olivia's blade and curled himself on the floor. Suddenly, Roman heard a voice telling him to wake up. Roman assumed he was having more hallucinations, asking the voice if he was dying. The voice replied, quote, "Not if I can help it," unquote, and lifted him up. He carried him out of their cell and down the hallway. He told him, quote, "It's not your time to die, Roman. This is just the beginning," unquote. Finally, they were outside and 2 horses were waiting. Roman was so weak, but the man assured him he would be right beside him on his horse and wouldn't let Roman fall. Roman leaned down on the horse's neck and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. And that's where it ends.
The way you just summarized that and narrated it, it brought me so much happiness.
I'm glad.
I don't quite know how to describe it, but I was like, I'm so glad we are ending with. It's so great.
It was also, I quite like how we had another one of it's just the beginning, and it was a completely different feeling than before when you had Balthazar say those words.
Exactly. Yeah. They mirrored that scene.
Yeah.
So, my question is, who has Roman? Who just saved him?
I always thought it was his.
Me too.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I've never really thought about it in like that much detail. But I've always thought, like, in the last maybe week or so, that there's got to be a lot more of Lazarus and Salvatore hidden in these books.
True.
More than we see. Because obviously the game's like amping up a little bit from the first book. We're obviously now seeing the darkness is appearing and all of that stuff. I just wonder whether they have a bit more at play now.
Could be.
Because obviously they're trying to show like Alina's past, and they're introducing Balthazar, who's, you know, one of the big bads. Not the big bad, but, you know, one of them.
And Roman.
Maybe,
oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and maybe that they're having a bit more input before stuff all goes.
I can see that, because Roman is a big player in this whole thing with them trying to, you know, him with Olivia is key to this whole journey. So it could be Lazarus. I just want it to be his dad. That's all.
I don't think when I was reading it, I think I was just kind of like, well, who is this? But I kind of wanted to wait. I didn't really thought about like, who could it be? And I think at this point I was reading it so fast. I'm like, well, I'm going to figure it out anyway. So I just kept reading.
I know, but it's fun to like, you know,
well, it's hard for me now, knowing that I know who it is that actually did save him. It's hard for me to go back and be like, could I have thought that that's who it was?
Oh, yeah. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
You know, I'm not saying anything. That's what I'm saying. But that's just it. Now I'm looking back like, nope, I don't think that never would have crossed my mind.
Oh, come on. Fuck you guys. This is a spoiler from Lost Legacy.
Wait, can I?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. This is, you know, because we're talking about Roman, right? Being saved from Balthazar's thing.
Yeah.
But you said, now that I know.
Well, yeah, because it was Malik, you know, that saved him.
Okay, that's who I thought it was too.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
Yeah, but that's just
it. I thought this was like a Easter egg
Sam,
from Lost Legacy.
Hold on for a second, Sam. Patrick, F you with your phrasing, because I thought you were trying to conceal a spoiler from Lost Legacy, and
I thought I missed something.
I thought I missed something
No. It's not that.
How would I miss?
Because really, Patrick, when you said it like that, I was like, don't say anything, because I was thinking, shit, I missed something. I thought you were talking about Lost Legacy.
I forgot about.
No.
I'm sitting over here like I didn't know who it was originally. I was like, oh, it's another shadowy presence. What's with Sara and shadowy presences?
Yeah.
But then when you go to Time Bound, you're like, oh, it must have been Malik. And then Patrick's over here like, now that I figured out who it was,
That's right.
No, that's not the game. My phrasing was way off. That was definitely not what I was. What I was saying was when I read it,
because
I was like,
you
Malik
even
is
had
something
me
crazy.
convinced that you knew from.
No, gosh, no. I just kept reading it, and then all of a sudden, it was just like, oh.
Chapter 25 is really, really cool. And I love the fact that Lisa summarized it. One thing that I thought was funny that I don't think Sarah Samuels intended. There's a line from Olivia's perspective where she says, Marcellious gave me a few hesitant pats before easing me away with his hands on my shoulders. And I wrote a note. I was like, oh my God, it's Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory saying they're there.
I know. But also, I think it also reflects the fact that when he first met Olivia, he thought she was hot and he wanted to fuck her. And now he thinks of her in just like, you're my sister. I feel, pat, shoulders. No, he's showing boundaries, respectful boundaries, but also the Sheldon thing.
I don't think it's a respectful boundaries, to be fair, because they said that that Emily and Marcellius had 3 days together where they had nobody else. They didn't know where anybody else was. They kind of waited to see if anybody would come back, and they've had 3 days to learn about each other. And I think this is the point where Marcellius has gone from being like this Roman person to actually realizing that he could be a good human being, and he sort of fallen in love with Emily, and maybe that Olivia's attractive. Well, maybe Olivia's not as attractive.
Do you believe that maybe this is a latent memory inside of Marcellius?
I think it's very similar to the whole Roman and Olivia thing.
But if he's a reincarnated soul, is he Roman's brother forever? And is this a latent memory for Olivia? Like, is that why he's changing his tune?
Part of me has always thought that there's got to be some form of reincarnation. It can't just be a reincarnated version of Roman and not have Marcellius be a reincarnation as well, because even if you're fraternal twins, you're still going to be born at the same time. So there's still the ruling of if the mum, is it the mother's pregnant when you're doing a reincarnation, blah, 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 what it is at the end of Rise of the Shadow Lords. So I don't think you could have one twin reincarnated without having the other twin have a reincarnation. Whether that means that they were brothers before, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I don't think it matters, because I think if you're... Well, it would matter if they were identical twins. They're fraternal twins, so they're two different people. The only reason that they're twins is because, the eggs were released at the same time. They're not going to be identical. So there could be two just random reincarnations of Solaris. But yeah, I think there's got to be There's got to be a reincarnation. Whether his like love of his life is Emily is questionable, but I think there's got to be something for him to change his complete persona from being this absolute knobhead to being somebody that can have a relationship with somebody and actually start being nice to them, even though they've like not even half a book ago he was chaining Olivia to a bed and
Yeah.
absolutely, nearly trying to beat the shit out of her and leave her in her own stank for a week, and now he's like, there, you'll be all right. Like, it's a completely different person. So I just wonder whether he's had a similar awakening.
I think he's changing a lot in this book.
And also, it seems like Emily she's just so sweet. It's like she has this, I imagine she has this kind touch, and she's just touching people and making them feel better about maybe some bad stuff or who knows. And that's also why he's changing or growing or whatever we're calling it into something different, because he's seeing something he didn't see before.
Our story comes to a pause as someone helps Roman escape Balthazar's dungeon. And then they ride away into the night. Roman is barely able to hold on to the horse, let alone consciousness. And that's where the archives close. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week as we discover the story behind the story of chapters 27 through 30 of Darkness of Time and the aftermath of Balthazar's torture.